Willie Fritz, the new head football coach at the University of Houston. Dana Holgorsen out, Willie Fritz in, and he was introduced, of course, this week. Joseph Duarte was all over this from day one. From also others who were interested and or interviewed, joins us from the Houston Chronicle on 365 Sports. Everybody in H-Town pretty happy with what they have now with Willie?
Well, as soon as he walked up to the podium, somebody yelled, "Merry Fritzmas."
Oh,
so,
I love it.
And he yelled out a "Go Cougs." So, yeah, I would say that day one of the Willie Fritz era was a success, and it was a stark contrast to 5 years earlier with the beginning of the Dana Holgorsen era. So I think they feel like they got the guy that they wanted all along, and now let's see how far he can catch up here in the transfer portal recruiting stuff, and then going into year one next year.
What do you think the difference was between Willie Fritz and any other candidates that got him over the finish line?
The experience factor. Now, Gary Patterson's name was thrown out there, and yeah, he's got a lot of success and a lot of wins. That didn't get as far down the line. So in terms of the candidates that we know of that interviewed, it's just Willie Fritz brings 30 plus years of winning. Someone that they feel is an experienced guy when it comes to age, and somebody that can go in there and be responsible and accountable, and be the face of the program.
He has been successful everywhere he's been. And I know that like 5 years ago seems like forever. Obviously, he's done really well at Tulane, we know. But he was at Sam Houston State. He knows the area, even though Houston will, recruit nationally wherever they need to. How much of that mattered at all, the success he had that was right outside of Houston in their backyard?
Oh, absolutely. He has those ties with the Texas high school coaches. And, the loudest ovation of the day came when he said, we are going to recruit the heck out of the state of Texas. And then he said, why wouldn't we? So he knows what's available, what his backyard looks like, so to speak, and that they're going to make a run at these top-level players from inside the Houston area. And as you guys know, and being around the Big 12 and major conferences here in Houston, there's a lot of talent. You don't necessarily get, if you're Houston, you don't get the 5 and 4 stars all the time, but you should be in the running to get some talented guys. And you look at where Houston was ranked recruiting wise at the time Dana got fired. I think they were 102nd, and that was last in the Power 5. That's to me, you have to really not be doing anything for that to happen. I mean, that almost seems impossible. So Willie Fritz is going to place an emphasis, and it sort of brought back Tom Herman vibe for me. Not to that extent, but that he was going to place that much emphasis on the state of Texas.
Why did Dana fall behind?
That's a good question. I mean, if we're talking on the field, I think the biggest issue he had was that he should have taken over the play calling duty. He sort of relinquished that, and then when Shannon Dawson went to Miami, he decided not to hire an offensive coordinator and thought that he could get by with kind of a group effort with 2 other assistants, and that didn't work out. And I think Houston saw that because they brought in a guy that had a reputation as this innovative play caller, put up points, and he wasn't even calling the plays. So that was one. And then off the field, in terms of recruiting, that's a good question. I don't know if they just underestimated how much work it was going to be. And maybe Dana, I don't even know if Dana thought that when he got here 4 years ago, if they were even going to be in the Big 12. So it seemed like they took a kind of a passive approach to recruiting. And, he made that comment at his radio show about the ship has sailed on the 24 class when it comes to high schools. And he really put a lot of emphasis on the transfer portal. He was talking about 30 to 40 guys coming in on the portal. And if you're trying to develop a program and build one, that's not a sustainable model. Yeah, you can bring some guys in and plug some holes and stuff, but for the long haul, that just sort of decimates your roster in terms of how you build it moving forward. And I just don't think the development aspect was as high on his list as going out and getting guys from the portal that had already been somewhere, and you kind of plug them in and fill some holes.
Joseph, if he had beaten Texas, would he still be the head coach at Houston?
Absolutely. I think if he had won one of those, and it wouldn't have even had to be Texas. If he had won one of those last 3 games, I think we would be looking at it. And that's not asking for much. Cincinnati was on a 7-game losing streak, and they just no-showed in that game. And then Oklahoma State was number 23, I believe, when they were in town, and Houston had a 14-point lead 2 times. And then, by the Central Florida game, they were never in that one. But if you win one or both of those games, and really the backbreaker was the Rice loss. You fall behind 28-0, and then you lose in double overtime. If you factor in one of those wins, that win in Cincinnati or Oklahoma State, you're going to a bowl game, and Dana Holgorsen's still your coach.
Joseph, we had Chris Pesman on this right after Big 12 Media Days in the summer, a couple weeks, and he made a joke on the show about maybe one day Dana gets tired of NIL and the transfer portal and retires, and every joke has some truth to it, but I kind of stuck with me as they struggled this year, in that maybe we were seeing that this is just not something that he wants to do. To the level that it needs to be done in modern college football?
Well, first of all, NIL was a major frustration topic for Dana, and Houston is at the bottom, at least in the Big 12, of the support that they get for football. Now, Kelvin gets, with what they're doing in basketball, they get a totally different type of NIL money compared to what football's bringing in for retaining players. And I think Dana saw that last year when Alton McCaskill ended up leaving and going to Colorado. So that was issue number one. And then every chance Dana got, he mentioned how far Houston was behind in facilities, and that was having their own football operations center. And as it would have it, Dana put in the first $1 million of this new $130 million facility that's going to open in 2025. So I hope he at least gets a brick with his name on it outside the complex to sort of acknowledge what he put into that, because that was his dream. That was the thing that he wanted to get done. It was going to get done, and now he's not going to be here to see that thing get built and the program use it.
All right, Joseph, you did a great job, because I obviously follow you. We've talked many times since back when even before Houston joined or was going to join the Big 12. Great job. He had the great win against Baylor, although Baylor wasn't very good. That overtime win, you thought maybe would get them some momentum. It didn't work out. I like Willie Fritz. We've had him on a couple of times when he was at Tulane. He's going to build it, I think, the right way. I think he'll do well. The question, of course, can they go out and get enough people to make them competitive immediately? And the transfer portal and NIL and much more allowed you to do that. We appreciate your time. Enjoy. Not a deep breath, because you got to follow them all over the place, but thank you for your time and great job covering that story.
Hey, you guys have a happy holiday, okay?
All
Talk
right.
to you in basketball season.
Yes, sir. My goodness. Somebody mentioned in